Do you want to transform your developer portals or your MuleSoft Exchange into personalized digital experience for your various stakeholders? Well, MuleSoft Anypoint Community Manager allows you to do just that. I'm Shashank, I'm a customer success architect here at MuleSoft. In this video series, I'm going to walk you through how one could install MuleSoft Anypoint Community Manager on top of Salesforce organization. Let's get started. Anypoint API Community Manager delivers capabilities on the Anypoint platform that helps transform the developer portals into personalized digital experiences. This promotes organizations' API products and improves the collaboration between developers, partners, and employees. With the Community Manager, you can build portals in a matter of few minutes with pre-configured or out-of-the-box templates. You can customize the experience and personalize it based on the API consumer needs. You can also support the community members or enhance the collaboration with tools like developer forums, chats, blogs, and case management. And finally, you are able to measure the ecosystem via out-of-the-box real-time KPIs. The installation of Anypoint Community Manager is largely composed of 6 main steps. We start with checking the installation prerequisites to make sure that we have everything in place to make the installation successful. Within the Salesforce organization, we register and deploy the domain. Then we install the API community package that we receive from the Anypoint organization. And finally, before creating the communities, we set up the single sign-on between the Salesforce and the Anypoint organization. The first step in the installation of the Anypoint Community Manager is making sure that we have all the required prerequisites. For the purpose of the installation, there are 3 main prerequisites. Number 1, you need to have an Anypoint account and a user with administrative privileges. You need to have a Salesforce organization and a user with administrative privileges. And finally, you need to make sure that you have the API Community Manager entitlement for your Anypoint organization. To make sure you have the required entitlement, let's log in to the Anypoint account. And once the login is successful, open a new browser window and type https anypoint.mulesoft.com/accounts/API/profile. This should open a JSON document, and on this page, search for API Community Manager under entitlement property. If it is true, then you are good to go. Once the Anypoint entitlement is confirmed, log in to your Salesforce account. Under Setup, search for Users and click on Users. On this page, locate the user with the administrative privileges and hit Edit. There are 2 main changes required on this page. First, we need to make sure that the role property is not set to none. You can select any role for the purpose of this installation. And then you also need to make sure that you select Salesforce CRM Content User checkbox. Once it is done, click Save. The next step in the process of installation is enabling My Domain and enabling the communities. When you enable My Domain, a customer-specific name is included in the Salesforce URL. This steps also make Salesforce as the identity provider, which is then used during the setup of data bridge between the Anypoint platform and the Salesforce organization. Head to the Salesforce organization and search for My Domain under Quick Find and click on it. On the My Domain page, you need to give a domain name of your choice and hit Register. You might want to check the availability of it before you click on the Register. Once successfully completed, you should be receiving an email. In continuation to this, we also need to enable the communities. For this, search for Community Settings in the Quick Find and click on Enable Community checkbox. Give a domain name for your community. Again, you might want to check the availability of it. Once done, click Save. Keep in mind that this domain name is different from the one that was created previously. So make sure you give a unique name for your community domains as well. Step number 3 is to deploy a new domain that was recently created in the previous step. Once the domain is successfully deployed and activated, it can be rolled out for all your users so that they can start using and designing it. At this stage, you should have received an email about the successful registration of the domain that was done in the previous step. If so, head back to the Salesforce organization and search for My Domain in the quick find in the left navigation. On the My Domain page, look out for a message that your domain is now ready. Log in to test it out. If so, click on Login. Once you click on Login, take a note of the change in the URL. The URL should now include the domain information that was given previously. Once the login is successful, select Deploy to Users button. This will bring up a confirmation page and select OK. At this stage, your domain is now ready and has successfully been rolled out to all the users of the Salesforce organization. The step number 4 is to install API Community Manager package onto the Salesforce organization. This package has all the required artifacts that is necessary to make the API Community Manager talk to the Anypoint platform. Talk to your Anypoint account manager to get the installation link. Open a new browser window and go to the URL that was given to you by your Salesforce representative or Anypoint account representative. Once you hit the URL, you are going to receive a page from where you would be installing the API Community Manager package onto the Salesforce. On this page, select the option Install for Admins Only and hit Install. This would bring up a dialog box which is asking you to confirm certain third-party access. Click on the checkbox and click Continue. The whole process takes quite a while to finish. You would also be receiving a message stating so. On completion of this, it will take you to the installed package section onto the Salesforce. Wait for some time and hit refresh. After a while, you should be able to see the details of the package that you just installed. The final step before we start using the API Community Manager is setting up the data bridge. When I say that we have to set up a data bridge, it simply means that we do a series of configuration on the Anypoint platform and the Salesforce organization to set up the single sign-on between these two systems. The first thing that you do in the data bridge section is creating a certificate within the Salesforce organization. For the purpose of creating the certificate, head back to the Salesforce organization and search for certificate management in the left navigation. Click on Create Self-Signed Certificate and give the basic details like label and the unique name. Once done, click on Save. Make sure that you download the certificate that was generated by this action and store it in a location that is easily accessible. You can quickly check the contents of the downloaded certificate by issuing a cat command on your favorite terminal. Next, we are going to create a connected app configuration on the MuleSoft platform. The connected app feature essentially provides us a way to enable an external application, Community Manager in our case, to integrate with Anypoint platform. For this, go back to the Anypoint platform and click on Connected Apps in the Access Management. Click on Create App. Give the basic details like name, type as app acts based on behalf of users, grant type as JWT bearer. Paste the contents of PEM key that was downloaded in the previous Salesforce configuration and give other details like website URL as given on the screen, which is set to https login.salesforce.com. Under Who can use this application, select Members Only and set scope to background access and full access under the scopes. And click Save. Make a note of the client ID. This ID would essentially be used during the configuration of name credentials within the Salesforce organization. Next, we will start the configuration of single sign-on on the Salesforce side of things. For this, we are going to start by creating an identity provider. Head to the Salesforce organization and search for App Manager using the quick find box. Click on New Connected App And start by providing the basic information like connected app name and the contact email. Within the web app settings section, give the URL as given onto the screen. Make sure you replace your domain name within this URL, and this domain name can be found within the Anypoint platform under the access management section. Other parameters to be set within the web app setting is enable SAML checkbox. Give a value to the entity ID. This can be any value. Make a note of this as this will be the audience parameter within the Anypoint platform configuration that we would be doing shortly. Provide other values like ACS URL and the single URL as given onto the screen. Other parameters to be set within the web app setting is enabling the single logout, set single logout binding to HTTP post, subject type to username, name ID to unspecified name ID format, and set the issuer to the Salesforce organization domain that was created earlier. Once done, click Save. The next part of the SSO configuration is setting up the external identity provider with your Anypoint platform. But before we do that, let us grab few of the parameters from the Salesforce organization. For this, head to the Salesforce organization and under Quick Find, search for App Manager. On this page, select the value for Anypoint and click on Manage. On this page, grab the parameters like IDP initiated login URL and single logout endpoint, and also download the metadata. Take a note of the X509 certificate tag within the metadata file. All these parameters would be used within the Anypoint platform. Now swing to the Anypoint platform and click on Access Management and go to Identity Provider. Create a new SAML 2.0 identity provider, and on this page, give the parameters like single sign-on URL and sign-off URL. Set the issuer to the domain URL for the Salesforce and copy the contents of X509 certificate tag within this public key parameter. For the audience parameter, use the entity ID that was configured with the configuration of Salesforce Identity Provider. Select Enable New Single Sign-On User and click Save. Now we are going to set up the name credentials within the Salesforce organization. For this, search for name credentials in the Quick Find under Setup and click on Name Credentials. Edit the name credentials anypoint.mulesoft. Within the authentication section, set some of the parameters like identity type to per user, authentication protocol to JWT token exchange. For the token endpoint, use the URL that is being shown onto the screen. The issuer parameter on the screen is essentially the value of client ID that was generated while setting up the connected app in the MuleSoft. For the per subject user, paste the formula as it is being shown onto the screen. Make sure you replace the IDP issuer to the Salesforce domain parameter and the IDP audience to the entity ID that was created in the connected app section with the Salesforce. Other parameters that needs to be set within this configuration is audience. Set it to the URL that is being shown on the screen. I will be setting 60 minutes for the token validity. And once done, click Save. The only step pending within the Databridge setup is modifying the external data source. For this, within the Salesforce organization, search for external data source in the Quick Find. Edit the value of Exchange data source. On this page, change the URL as it is being given onto the screen, and once done, click Save. Before we start creating and testing the communities, the one last step pending is to have some users with the required contributor role. For this, head to the MuleSoft platform and under the access management, click on users. Select the user with which you would want to be testing. And for this user, under the roles tab, make sure you give him the Exchange contributor role. Once the single sign-on between the Anypoint platform and the Salesforce organization is successfully set up, it's a good time to start building your communities. Head to the Salesforce organization and search for all communities in the quick find. Click on New Community. Here you can see a list of few out-of-the-box templates that you can use to jumpstart the design of a community page. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to select Build Your Own Community Template and click on Get Started. Provide the basic information, and once done, hit Create. The whole process takes few minutes to complete. Once the template has been successfully created, head back to the Salesforce organization and under Application Launcher, select the ACM Administrator. Choose the community that you just created in the Community dropdown. Congratulations! You should now be able to see some of your MuleSoft Exchange APIs onto this community page. In this video, I was able to give you a quick walkthrough of how one could install Anypoint Community Manager on top of Salesforce organization. In my next video, I'm going to walk you through how one could start customizing these portals for the needs of the various stakeholders. Thank you for watching Friends of Mac series. Till next time, goodbye.